Hi everyone, I'm Tim.
And I'm Kat.
So this is our monthly questions and answers session and news update. This is normally combined with a stats update, but we were a bit delayed in recording this particular part of it. So the stats video has already gone out. If you've not seen that already, go and check that out. So this is just going to be the Q&A and the news update. So Kat's going to start with the news, I think, today.
Yeah, I am indeed. Let me pop my coffee down. So the reason I'm doing the news is because I accused Tim of being a little bit overly waffly on the news. So the news updates this time. We've got new curtains, new car, the solar's getting installed, we put down a deposit for Ripple Energy, and we hit 5,000 subs. Yay!
I mean, that was quite quick. Might be a bit too quick.
Okay, let's break that down a bit more then.
Yeah, go on then.
So new curtains.
Yeah, so this is curtains in the what we call the hub area. It's the bit with the very large bifold doors. They're 4.5 metre bifold doors at the back of the house, and we haven't had curtains there because it was such a big span that we didn't really know how to deal with it. But we've decided finally to get curtains, and we've got those installed. So
Yep.
I don't know if that's making any difference to the heating.
No, I think if it does, maybe half a degree.
Yeah, it's hard to know because when we got the curtains installed, the weather started improving and we get more sunny days anyway. So disentangling those two things is basically impossible. So yeah. I'm not even going to try. No. But it's nice to have the curtains there.
We like the curtains anyway, so it's fine. It might be helping a little.
It's got a 6 metre rail, just to let you know. It was crazy getting that through the door and into the house. And that's a whole other story, which we won't go into right now.
No, waffle. Okay, and the second one was that we got a new car.
Yes.
Now that's more exciting than the curtains.
Yeah, this is Kat's daily commute. Well, I say daily commute. It's 3 days.
3 days a week.
Yeah. We actually have a question about that later, so we're gonna go into more detail about the car in the Q&A part of the video, I think. So.
And we're going to do a separate video on the car, so I think we won't go into it now, except to say it is absolutely beautiful. Really love driving it. So yes.
We'll probably do more than one video actually. You know, as and when we do little adventures, yeah, we may cover some of that. Yeah. But I mean, this channel isn't really about EVs. There's plenty of other channels out there. I recommend Mr. EV or EV Man or EV Puzzle. Any of those, you know, cover EVs in more detail than we do. So go check those channels out. But we will drop the occasional video in about the car. Hopefully, we shall see.
Yep.
To be determined.
Yep.
Yeah.
The third one was that the solar panels are being installed.
Well, yeah, they're currently being installed right now. In fact, well, it's actually this is a Saturday we're recording this, but the install started a couple of weeks ago. It's been delayed by the bad weather that we've had recently with the wind and the rain. But the panels should be going up Monday, so that's exciting. The batteries and the inverter are installed. They're not hooked up to the electrics yet, but hopefully that will all be commissioned this coming week. So there will be loads of videos all about that in due course.
Yes. Yeah, so that is very exciting.
Yeah.
And then you put down a deposit for the Ripple Energy.
Yeah, so this was earlier in the month. Ripple Energy, if you aren't aware, they are a company that it's a sort of cooperative that builds and runs currently a couple of wind turbines. And the what you do is you sign up and you put you effectively invest a little bit of money. Well, I say a little bit of money, probably £1,000 or more, into to effectively get you savings off of your electricity bill. I'll put a link to them in the description. I'll hopefully be doing a video about that at some point again in the future. But yeah, I put my £25 deposit down for Project 3. And then shortly after that, Project 3 got announced, and it's actually going to be a solar farm rather than a wind turbine. And that's fine. I don't mind either way. So we will be basically, because we've got the heating is now electric. Our solar panels are not going to be sufficient to cover us sort of net consumption and generation throughout the year. So in order to offset the additional consumption from the heating, I think investing in the Ripple Energy scheme will make sure that
the rest of our energy comes from green sources.
Exactly, that's the idea behind that. So yeah, there's other you know, lots to cover about Ripple in future videos, but for now, yes, we've put our deposit down and we're looking forward to actually you know, spending some actually making the investment at some point.
Yep. So, yeah. And we hit 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah, amazing! I can't believe it. So
Yay,
This is
and
incredible.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all those who have subscribed. I honestly didn't expect it to happen anytime soon, but I started this channel back in, I think it was August last year. I had that one crazy viral video which did a lot of the groundwork for us. But since then, the growth has been steady and quite consistent, actually, surprisingly. And yeah, we hit 5,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Thank you so much. Looking forward to increasing that in the future. One point I would like to make about the fact that the channel is becoming a bit more popular now is I'm getting a lot of requests for my opinion and advice on different systems, and comparing one system against another. And although I was happy to do that up to a point, these are getting quite frequent now, and it's taking quite a lot of my time. So what I've decided to do is actually sort of stop replying to those sorts of requests, just from the case of I'm not really an expert. I really appreciate that people think that I know what I'm talking about, and I do to a point, but I don't have first-hand experience of loads of different systems. We literally only just got our system installed, and I haven't used it in anger yet. So I'm going to be very happy to talk about our system if people are interested in that sort of system. But comparing that against other systems that I don't have first-hand experience about, I'm not quite as comfortable talking about that sort of stuff. Because what I don't want to happen is for me to offer my opinion or advice to somebody based on not having actually used this equipment, and then somebody making a decision based on what I say, and then being upset with me because it's not what they thought they were getting. So I want to sort of dial that back a bit if possible. I'm not really a consultant, if that makes sense, and I don't want to give that impression. So I hope you understand. If you would like advice, by all means ask, but I can't promise to offer you anything in return. Just to avoid disappointment, shall we say.
And I think the point is the channel was started to give people some things to think about to start off their own research process.
Yeah.
Not to hand the solution to everyone on a plate, because everyone's will be
I don't think
totally different.
Yeah, that wasn't really my intention. Yeah, when the channel was to show what we're doing rather than to tell you what you should be doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
Okay, and on that note, shall we move on to the
Should we move on to the Q&A?
I think we should move on to the Q&A.
Let's move on to the Q&A.
Okay, first question then we have from Bob Basley. Thank you for another couple of questions. So the first is, with summer coming, will you be using weather optimization on your inverter to help with filling your batteries with cheap overnight rates, depending on if it's sunny or not for the following day?
Probably. This is not something I've really thought about much. So I think the system I'm getting is the Give Energy system, and I think they're starting to integrate that sort of stuff into their platform. A friend of mine has a Give Energy system, and I think they've started to use that already, which seems like a good idea. So yes, the answer is probably, until I actually get the system up and running and I get used to how it operates. I don't know for sure, but almost certainly I will be doing something along those lines, yes.
And we'll keep you posted.
Yes, there'll probably be some videos about it, I imagine.
Okay, and the second question then from Bob was, have you used HA home automation system that's available online that runs on various platforms and brings together lots of disparate systems that you can use to monitor and see everything in one easy dashboard? And if you don't, what do you intend to use to help you now you've got solar, batteries, air-to-air, replacement hot water tank, that probably all have their own individual apps?
Yeah, so I think, so a lot of people have mentioned things like Home Assistant to me in the past, and I was a bit sort of reluctant to investigate that sort of option, really, because it's another thing to set up and fiddle around with. And although I like doing that stuff to a point, I'm already spending far too much time on this stuff anyway, so I don't want to get lost in that rabbit hole. That said, the friend I mentioned earlier who's got a Give Energy system, he's looking into doing that sort of stuff for his system, and if he can just set me up in an easy, simple way. I'm a technical kind of guy, but honestly, IT admin is my worst nightmare. So my job is very technical, so anytime I can avoid doing technical stuff in my home, so much the better. Obviously, with all the equipment and everything else, that's going to change somewhat. But yeah, I'm not averse to investigating that option, but I need to see kind of a clear use case benefit for me Because at the moment I'm quite happy to operate our heating system just through that particular app, and if the rest of it can be done through mostly the Give Energy app, then that would be all right. I'm not sure putting it all in one dashboard would necessarily give me much benefits, but I'm open to persuasion, and we shall see. Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe not is the answer.
Excellent. Okay, thanks Bob, who also says look forward to the next video, thanks in advance. So, okay, the next question is from Philip James. It says, what's your thoughts about the Octopus Flux tariff? I know you have an EV, which I don't, so maybe that makes a difference, but the way I see it is if I charge my battery to 100% every night, regardless of what the weather's going to do the following day, it means I'll be buying electric at 21.4 pence per kilowatt hour.
Yes.
And we'll be selling it almost as soon as the sun comes up because the battery will be full at a rate of 26p per kilowatt hour. This also means that even on a cloudy day, I'll have a full battery to force discharge to the grid between 4 and 7 in the evening and earn 41p per kilowatt hour exporting.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So what's the view?
I think that's more or less exactly what I would do if I was in that situation. Just out of interest, literally yesterday, Gary off of Gary Does Solar put out a very good video about the flux tariff. Go and watch that. I'll put a link somewhere. If you're not already following Gary's channel, go follow Gary's channel. He does excellent videos. It was my intention to do a very complicated spreadsheet to try and work this all out. Gary's actually already done that. It doesn't. So we're in a slightly odd situation. It may become more common, but we've got the whole shebang, right? We've got the EV. We will have the battery and the solar, and we've also got an electric heating system, the air-to-air heat pump. So the three different tariffs that Octopus offer for those three different technologies, Octopus Go for EVs, Cozy Octopus for heat pumps, and now Flux for solar and battery. Well, we've got all of those.
Yeah.
So we could literally have any one of those tariffs. It would probably help us in one way or another. We're actually currently on Octopus Go, but for us, the question is not clear which is better in any given situation. My suspicion is during the summer, Flux is going to be best for us because we're going to be able to do this exact sort of thing. Sorry, what was the name? Philip. Exactly the same as what you're suggesting, by filling the battery up overnight and then exporting during the day, because we won't be running the heating. During the winter, I think Go is going to be better for us because we can charge up our battery during the really cheap, Octopus Go period, and use that to power a good chunk of our heating. Yeah. So it might be a case that we switch sort of every 6 months, something like that.
Just working out, is that worth the admin of switching every 6 months to try and get that best tariff at the best time of year?
Exactly. So I need to do a bit more work on my spreadsheet to work that out. It's going to be much more complicated. It's going to effectively be like Gary's spreadsheet utility, except I'm going to incorporate 13 years of historical data plus a model to convert temperatures and other stuff into heating demand, because that's going to make a big difference to how your demand during the day is very dependent on the heating in that situation, whereas during the summer it's much more stable. So Gary's utility, if you've only got solar and batteries and you don't have a heating system, electric heating system, then Gary's utility is probably all you need. But for us, I think I'm going to need to make it a bit more complicated. So, yeah.
You always need to make it a bit more complicated.
Of course I do.
You just enjoy that.
Well, yeah, you say that. I mean, do I? Maybe I do.
But you keep doing it.
I keep doing it. I know. Yeah. So, yeah, the short answer to that ridiculous ramble was, yes, I think what you're suggesting, Philip, is exactly how I would use Octopus Flux if I just had solar and batteries. So, yes, go ahead and do that very thing. That's what I would do.
Cool. Okay, so question from Andy Campbell says, in retrospect, what would you have changed about your air-to-air heat pump setup? Heat pump size, number of inside units, software, noise, and anything else? Yes,
that's an excellent question. And
I think it needs a whole video, this one.
Actually, my intention was to do a whole video about this. So that video is probably going to be many minutes long. But the quick answer is yes, there are a few things I would do differently. Number one, I would investigate ducted options for the upstairs, so that we could cover all the bedrooms upstairs using a ducted system rather than having individual units in the separate rooms. Secondly, I would also investigate options that would do hot water. There are a couple, I believe, that do air to air and will heat your hot water. I didn't investigate that thoroughly enough at the time, and I wish I had, because I believe that if you can do your hot water as well as your heating, you are eligible for the boiler upgrade scheme, which would give you £5,000 off the install.
That is definitely worth doing.
Yeah, which we couldn't get because we've only got the heating. We don't have the hot water in combination with that. Thirdly, I would look for an MCS registered installer, because that then, related to that previous one, that would then give you access to the boiler upgrade scheme.
And do you need the MCS registration for the Octopus tariff?
Yes, so Cozy Octopus requires the MCS registration for your heat pump, which we don't have, which means technically we couldn't really get the Cozy tariff if we wanted to use the Cozy tariff. I don't think we would, but
No.
it would be useful to have
But
that
if you
option.
wanted that option,
Exactly.
you want the MCS registered installer.
And finally, I would find an installer who knows all the planning laws, because ours did not, and he told us we didn't need planning permission, and it turns out we did. So those are the.
And about talking to the DNO.
Oh yes, and of course the DNO also needs to know about heat pumps. He didn't. Our installer didn't know about that either. And even though a lot of people think that it's just for air to water systems, I spoke to our DNO and they said no, it's also for air to air systems. Yeah. Any heat pump basically, which makes perfect sense, honestly, because they're basically the same thing.
Yeah. So get someone who knows the answers to all those questions.
Yeah. And I should have talked to more installers, really.
It happened quite quickly,
Yeah.
way quicker than we thought it was going to, and I think we were excited because the solar was on hold. We were kind of excited to dive into it, and I think we probably went just a fraction too quick.
Yeah, that's not to say we're not happy with the system. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's great. But
that's just for anyone else considering it. I think as far as our system and other things that were mentioned there in terms of the setup, the noise, how it functions, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's fine.
Really good.
And maybe we would investigate separate thermistors on the walls rather than in the units themselves. But that's another question. I'll go into all that in a lot more detail in a separate video.
But hopefully that's at least given you a bit of an overview. Okay, then we have from Brooke Johnny. It says, "Hi guys, loving the videos. Is there any way to know what inverter size a DNO are likely to approve before submitting a G99 application, as it can take many months to get an answer, so I don't want to risk it getting rejected?"
Short answer is I don't know. The only thing I know is the difference between the requirement for a G98 and a G99 application. A G98 is almost always approved, but that requires an inverter with no more than 3.68 kilowatts of power. Because that's the threshold below which they don't really care. Above 3.68, you need G99 approval, which is what you're talking about here. And in that sense, I don't know how likely they are or not to approve. I think it's down to the area you're in, how much other stuff is connected to your local network and all that stuff. So honestly, I don't know. This is the sort of situation where, because I'm not an expert, I wouldn't want to say one way or another. I honestly don't know. You would need to call your DNO probably to find out. That would be what I would recommend doing.
I will say, you've found that talking to our DNO, I know it won't be the same for everybody, but they've been really responsive,
they're pretty reasonable. Yeah, you just call them up.
And pretty quick to
either drop them an email or call them up, and they do tend to respond. They may not, like applications might take a while, but if you've just got a quick query on the phone or on an email, they're usually pretty quick to respond to that. For example, I wanted to check that we had 100 amp supply in our main fuse. It says 100 amps on the cartridge, but I've been told that sometimes it's an 80 amp fuse inside. So I wanted to know for sure. I dropped them an email. 2 days later, they were on the doorstep, and they checked for me, and it is indeed 100 amps. So, yay! That was great. A bit of a surprise that they just literally turned up on the doorstep saying, "Oh, we're here to check your main fuse."
Yeah,
okay,
that's great.
Brilliant. They may not all operate quite in the same way, but just contact your DNO, and they'll probably be happy to give you some quick advice.
Yeah. Okay, and then finally from Poker Hayward says, "Did the car arrive on schedule, and how has it been getting to grips with charging, both at home and if you've done any longer journeys?"
Well, I mean, it's your car. Do you want to cover this one?
Well, I mean, the schedule got delayed many times, and I think we
ordered it last May.
May
last year.
Ordered it in May. It was due in September, then November, then January, and it arrived in February. about the
Yeah.
20th of February.
Late February, yeah.
So I think everything's delayed at the moment. So I don't think after the first delay or so, we weren't really thinking it would arrive on any particular schedule.
No.
So we were just excited when it did finally get here.
Yeah.
We were less excited, and I think we might have mentioned this one. Have we mentioned this before?
I don't think we mentioned it.
We might have mentioned this. Yeah, very much less excited when it turned up on the back of a truck, and it was actually a different colour to what we expected, but actually quite like it, so that's fine. Apparently the one we chose has been since discontinued.
Because it was such a long delay between ordering and them actually building the car.
Yeah.
I think the colour that we ordered didn't exist anymore. So they changed the colour, but they didn't tell us.
No, they didn't tell us.
So it turned up and it was a different colour.
But I actually really like it, so I'm totally happy with that.
Easy come, easy go. This is a lease, by the way. We're doing this through a salary sacrifice scheme with work. So
you've definitely mentioned this before.
Yeah, so we're leasing it for 3 years, so just for some context.
Yeah. So that was fine. Yes, what we were very much less happy about was that it turned up on the back of the truck with 9% battery charge and no granny charger. Now the granny charger turned out to be slightly our fault because we'd forgotten. We didn't realise it was actually an optional extra. We thought it would be coming with it, so that is actually slightly our bad.
Yeah.
But turning up with 9% battery, I mean,
that wouldn't have even been enough for us to get to a public charge point.
Yeah.
So
I went straight on and ordered a granny charger, which was going to come the next day, and a neighbour very kindly lent us a charger so that we could charge it up. Just because honestly, I could have waited till the one I'd ordered.
Have we mentioned what the car actually is? It's a Fiat 500e, just to be short, just to be clear. I can't remember if we mentioned
have
that
before, but not today. So so we could have waited till the one I'd ordered had turned up to charge the car, but we wanted to take it out and drive it. So neighbour very kindly lent us a
because they also have a Fiat 500e as it happens. Not that it matters with a granny charger, but they gave us an official Fiat 500e granny charger for the day. So we
so we charged that one up and we could take it out the next day. So that aside, the car turning up was lovely. And from the charging, I mean, again, I guess we will talk more about the charging, but I would say so for the moment it's just on the granny charger, and most of the journeys we're doing is me going to work, which is a 20-mile round trip. So it's really easy. I could charge up once a week on those 3 trips.
I think twice a week.
We're doing twice a week.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But that's totally fine.
Because it's, we're charging at 10 amps, so that's 2 and a bit kilowatts, and that gives us, 10 kilowatt hours in the 4-hour Octopus Go cheap period, and that's about 20% of the battery, and that's about what you use each day, isn't it? So, so probably only we charge up a couple times, two or 3 times a week. So it's no big deal. We are aiming to get the Give Energy EV charge point at some point when it becomes available. They're going to let me know as soon as it's available, and hopefully set me up with one. And I will obviously be testing that on the channel at some point. But that will be 7 kilowatts, so we can charge it up once a week, no problem. Which will be very easy to do. But
for the short journeys at the moment, we did do one longer journey.
Yep, to my parents.
Tim's parents, but that's
about 40 miles there, 40 miles back.
So we did all that. We didn't have to charge up while we were there.
And we were there and back, and the battery was on 52%. So we used less than half the battery to do best part of 80 miles. Yeah. So that was more or less what we expected, which was great.
Yep. So we've not had to go out and try any kind of public charging.
No.
Network
we will record that as and when we went the first time we use a public charger. We will record that for the channel just to show you how easy or difficult it is for somebody who's never done it before. We watch obviously a lot of the other channels I mentioned earlier, in particular Mr. EV and EV Man, and they've shown how to use charge points. So I think we're sort of mentally prepared for it, as it were.
I think so, and the whole charging etiquette, and there's a lot to figure out with that, I think. But we'll test that out.
I doubt we'll need to do it very often.
No, I think we're lucky because
once or twice a year, maybe. Who knows? Honestly, I don't know.
It would be fairly rare. We might need to charge up if we went to friends or family for some longer journeys, but I don't think at the moment we would often have to use public chargers. So we'll go and have a play with one at some point just to try it out. But
looking forward to that, I guess. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So is that all the questions?
So that is all the questions. Yep.
Wow, we kept it to what's that? Less than half an hour. Amazing. We'll try and do this. So I guess one quick question for the viewers. is it worth us keeping the split between the stats update and this sort of news update / Q&A rather than combining them in the stats and chats format that we were originally planning? Opinions welcome on that. One way or another, we don't really mind. We're happy to change it based on the most popular opinion. So let us know what you think. But I think is that everything?
That is it then.
So hope you enjoyed that slightly quicker news update and Q&A, and we'll catch you hopefully in a month or so, maybe in a few weeks, and with some more questions and answers and news and all that stuff. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.